I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
And this is our son, Cooper. And he used the jet vent. After about a month of life, he was intubated with the oscillating vent and the conventional vent, and neither one worked. His lungs were overinflated to the point where you could no longer see his heart on x-rays. So he was retaining water to the point where he weighed 2.5 pounds, or 2 pounds 5 ounces, I guess.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get him to lose any water. They couldn't get him to ventilate properly. His lungs just kept expanding. So 2 of the neonatologists at the hospital that we were at in Toledo had worked with the jet vent, and they both really liked it, and they knew that like it would be the perfect fit for Cooper. So they really pushed to try to get the jet vent brought to the hospital.
Yeah, they just had they had to have the settings so high on the conventional and the oscillator. The settings were so high on it that they were overexpanding his lungs, and that was squeezing his heart, and that was causing the heart just to do what it could. So it was basically just sending blood to the brain, and just the main functions, and the kidneys were getting robbed, and they were thinking that's what was happening. His kidneys were shutting down, and that's why he's retaining all that water.
I guess for us, when they told us about the jet, like we had been saying, because they told us it would be a miracle if he made it through the night. So we just kept saying, we need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need something. And then they're like, well, there is one other vent. It's a jet vent, but we haven't used it here in 30 years. It'll be a push to get it here. So like the whole night, all we kept praying was that they get the jet, and then that Cooper could hang on long enough that the jet could get here, and that they could hook him up and it would do something, anything. Like after you've already lost one, losing another is like unbearable.
Yeah, it's like we didn't, I don't want to say we gave up hope, but we almost had begun to accept that he was going to pass. And then they said there was a chance that we could get the jet ventilator. And
that's when he got sick again. And then when he retained the water weight, and that's when we got the jet. And the jet was a high moment because like right away when we got the jet, we saw not instant improvement, but like within a couple of hours, his CO2 numbers.
Yeah, we saw it wasn't like right away, boom, it was better. It was slowly over those couple hours, incrementally his numbers started getting better, and we're starting to get very hopeful, and our hopes were starting to get up. So it was.
Yeah. I think after like the second day of having the jet, we finally actually left the hospital to go sleep across the street at the Ronald McDonald House, which in our doctor's eyes was a huge improvement because we would not leave the place. Like we would leave long enough to shower and change, and then we'd be back, and we would sleep on the couch, both of us together on the little hospital couch. And I mean, we wouldn't leave his bedside. We would go down, get food, and bring it up to the room. We never left the room, never left his side. Like, after seeing what it did right away, and then after being on the jet, and then the x-rays that they showed us where you could actually see his heart again, and then when his lungs were back within like normal range, that was amazing because they had never been there like since he had been born.
Well, yeah. Then I think it's pretty speaks for itself, the machine, when we get it in for us, and then right away you can tell there was a need for it.
3 weeks later they have 3 machines in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, they only had one that came with Dawn, and then 3 weeks to a month later they had 3 jet vents in there, and 2 were being used and 1 was there as backup. So I mean, clearly it's a vent that can be used. And
small hospital like Toledo, I mean, I know it's not small, but in the grand scheme of things, if they can use it, almost anyone can that has a NICU.
I mean, most hospitals don't use the oscillating vent either, but most hospitals have them. So I guess if you have an oscillating vent and you use it for 1 or 2 babies a year, what's stopping you from having a jet that you use for 1 or 2 babies a year? Mm-hmm. You want to be able to provide everything you can for babies and give them a fighting chance. Thank you for the jet vent. I mean, without it, he wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
Say hi, Cooper. Say thank you. Oh.
Stretching.
Say thank you for the jet.
You think, dude?
Oh, stretch. you have to do everything possible and stay as strong as you can, because that little life is what you're fighting for. And that's what you've been here for all along. And that's what means the most to you. So never give up.